Today, a tectonic shift has occurred that has left the global intelligence community in a state of absolute paralysis. Donald Trump, accompanied by his entire strategic team and the titans of Silicon Valley, was en route to China. The plan was clear: a show of force, a diplomatic maneuver to corner the dragon before the drums of war reached a fever pitch. But history does not follow the scripts written in Washington. Just 1 hour before Trump's departure, the Earth itself began to scream. Two massive earthquakes struck Iran, centered just 11 kilometers from the capital of Tehran. To the uninitiated, this is merely geography. To the experts at the Pentagon, this was the sound of a nightmare turning into a reality. Trump's team is now in a state of panic, and for the first time in decades, the hair on the back of the American establishment is standing up. Was this a tectonic event, or was this a cold blast? Did Iran just cross the nuclear threshold while the world was looking at the stock market? Recently, the leadership in Tehran issued a chilling warning. If the sovereignty of Iran is violated, the era of ambiguity ends. They declared that weapon-grade uranium, enriched to 90%, would be produced within hours. This isn't just a threat anymore. America has threatened to wipe Iran off the map twice in recent months. In such a scenario, what choice does a nation have? Survival dictates the move. When the seismic sensors registered a magnitude of 4.3 and 4.5, the satellites immediately pivoted. This was deep underground. This was the same signature we saw when North Korea shocked the world. Iran does not need to announce its nuclear status to the world. Why would they? Israel has never officially declared its arsenal, yet the world trembles at its shadow. Uranium is a bargaining chip only as long as you're enriching it. Once you have the bomb, the conversation about enrichment is over and the era of total deterrence begins. Intelligence agencies from Mossad to the CIA are currently working in a frenzy, analyzing the isotopic signatures of those tremors. If Iran has conducted an underground test, the global balance of power has just been incinerated. Trump is finding out that the world he left in his first term no longer exists. He is trying to find out if Tehran is now a nuclear power. But the answer is hidden deep beneath the mountains. This earthquake didn't just shake the ground, it shook the foundations of American hegemony. The latest intelligence reports are soul-crushing for the hawks in Washington. It turns out that the 33 missile sites and underground facilities that the U.S. claimed to have neutralized are not only intact but are now fully operational. Out of 33 sites, 30 are back online with full operational access. The lies of the establishment have been exposed. Trump took the CEOs of Apple and Tesla to China thinking he could dictate terms, but before he even landed, he realized that Iran had rebuilt its entire kinetic architecture under his very nose. While the military situation spirals, the financial world is entering a terminal death spiral. Major investors in the United States are warning that we are mere minutes away from a crash so painful that it will swallow the global economy whole. Look at the signals coming out of India. The Indian government has just imposed heavy duties on gold. Why? Because the Indian rupee has lost 13% of its value in a single year. They are desperate, they are trying to stop the flight of capital, but you cannot stop a flood with a finger in the dike. Investors are pulling billions out of the Indian stock market in a single day. When the giants like Exxon and Toyota warn of catastrophic oil shortages, when they tell you that the shelves will soon be empty, you know the end of the global supply chain is here. China has already signaled to Pakistan to intervene, to stop the war in the Middle East, because Beijing knows that if India collapses, the entire Asian century is at risk. The oil prices are touching the heavens. The Indian rupee is in freefall, and in the middle of this chaos, Iran has made its most aggressive move yet. They have officially expanded their maritime authority. Previously, they claimed a 30-mile zone in the Strait of Hormuz. Today, they have declared a 500-kilometer zone as their sovereign territory. This isn't just a change in a map. This is a total blockade of the global energy artery. Trump's plan for a Golden Dome missile defense shield, a project with a price tag of $1.2 trillion, is now obsolete before it is even built. The cost of defending American interests has surpassed the entire federal budget. They are increasing the military budget to $1.5 trillion just to survive. But you cannot print your way out of a kinetic defeat. The world is collapsing, and the great powers are being dragged into the abyss. 98% of the global population now stands in fierce opposition to the American-Israeli military campaign. Even within the United States, the majority of the citizenry is turning against the establishment. The world is united in its hatred for the current path of destruction. Netanyahu blames Pakistan, claiming that online accounts in Pakistan are fueling this global descent. But is Pakistan responsible for the price of oil? Is Pakistan responsible for the collapse of the global airlines? No. The world is reacting to the reality of their empty pockets and the fire in the Middle East. There are two ways to handle a loss in strategy. You either cut your losses early, or you stay until you're totally destroyed. America has chosen to stay, and now the exit doors are locked, and the building is on fire. The game has slipped out of Washington's hands. You cannot win this fight. If Iran has indeed become a nuclear power through these secret tests, the era of bargaining is over. The only way to save the global economy is to lift the sanctions, let the oil flow at $40 or $50 a barrel, and accept a multipolar reality. But if the plan is to continue this path of destruction, then the 500-kilometer zone today will become an 800-kilometer zone tomorrow, and the global order will be nothing but a memory. Let us go deeper into the heart of the storm. While the world is distracted by the tremors in Tehran, a much more silent and deadly earthquake is ripping through the halls of the global financial elite. The dirty secret that the mainstream media is desperate to hide is that the American dollar is no longer a currency. It has become a liability. When Trump sat on that plane to China, he wasn't just going for trade talks, he was going on a begging mission. He knows that the $35 trillion debt ceiling is not a number anymore. It is a death sentence for the American dream. For the first time in history, the central banks of the world are not buying dollars. They are dumping them. They are fleeing to the only thing that has stood the test of 5,000 years, gold. But look at the irony of the situation. India, a country that considers itself a rising global power, is now acting like a drowning man grasping at straws. By imposing massive duties on gold, the Modi government has inadvertently signaled to every investor on the planet that the Indian ship is sinking. Why would you stop your citizens from buying gold unless you're terrified that your own currency is about to become worthless? The Indian rupee is not just devaluing. It is being executed by the market. 13% in a year is not a fluctuation, it is a collapse. When you see billions of dollars exiting the Indian stock market in a single trading session, you are witnessing the death of confidence. And without confidence, a fiat currency is nothing but paper used to start a fire. Now connect this to the energy crisis. The titans of industry, the CEOs of Exxon and Toyota, are not politicians, they are pragmatists. When they warn that the shelves will be empty, they are telling you that the global logistics system is broken. The reason is simple: the Strait of Hormuz is the jugular vein of the world, and Iran has its hand firmly on the throat of the West. By expanding their maritime jurisdiction to 500 kilometers, Iran has effectively declared that no ship moves without their permission. Think about the audacity of this move. This is a direct challenge to the United States Navy, which for decades claimed to be the guarantor of the freedom of the seas. Today, that guarantee is a joke. The U.S. Navy is overstretched, its ships are aging, and its sailors are exhausted. They cannot even secure a 30-mile zone, let alone challenge a 500-kilometer sovereign claim. The cost of this failure is being passed down to you, the average citizen. This is why your fuel is expensive. This is why your food prices are skyrocketing. This is why inflation is a monster that no central bank can tame. Trump's $1.2 trillion golden dome is a fantasy. You cannot build a shield against a reality that has already permeated your borders. The military-industrial complex is demanding more money, $1,500 billion. But where will this money come from? They will print it, and as they print it, the value of the dollar in your pocket dies a little more every day. This is the sledgehammer that the elites don't want you to understand. They are burning the house down to keep themselves warm for one more night. And what about the secret nuclear test? Every intelligence agency from Langley to Tel Aviv is currently staring at the seismic data from the Tehran province. They are looking for the telltale signature of an underground nuclear blast. If Iran has achieved a successful cold test or a full-scale underground detonation, then the entire geopolitical architecture of the last 80 years has just crumbled. A nuclear Iran changes the math for every country in the Middle East. It means that the era of American police actions is over. You cannot bully a nation that has the power to turn your bases into glass. This is why the seismic event was so terrifying for the Trump team. It wasn't just the ground that moved, it was the throne of the global emperor that cracked. 98% of the world is watching this with a mixture of fear and realization. They realize that the bullying tactics of the last century no longer work. Netanyahu can blame Pakistan all he wants. He can claim that online accounts are creating hatred. But the truth is, the hatred is being fueled by the sight of injustice and the smell of a dying empire. Pakistan doesn't need to create a narrative. The narrative is being written in the blood of the innocent and the bankruptcy of the corrupt. The world is waking up to the fact that the United States and its proxies have overplayed their hand. They thought they could control the world through debt and threats, but they forgot that a cornered nation with 5,000 years of history does not surrender. The choice now is between a managed retreat and a total collapse. If the West continues to ignore the reality of the new multipolar order, if they continue to believe that they can dictate terms to Tehran and Beijing, they will find themselves in a war they cannot win and a depression they cannot survive. The smart move, the move that a true strategist would make, is to exit now. Cut the losses, lift the sanctions, allow the global economy to breathe. If the oil price drops to $40, the world might have a chance to recover. But arrogance is a blinding disease. The elites in Washington are so blinded by their own propaganda that they cannot see the cliff they are about to walk over. Stay tuned to the breaking signal, because we are the only ones following the data to its logical conclusion. We are the ones looking at the satellite imagery, the seismic sensors, and the flow of gold while the rest of the world is watching reality TV. The sledgehammer is falling, the Nightfall Protocol is active, and the world you knew yesterday is never coming back.